The rule of reason, first answer second, is a concept from critical thinking that teaches us how to approach questions. How to think about questions so that we can find the right answers. It's actually very simple. You have a question? Then you identify what kind of question it is. Then you find the answer based on the type of question that it is. And this is important because the way that we approach problems, the way that we approach questions, determines if we get the right answer or the wrong answer. So if you've ever felt like you're not getting the questions right, well then this might be why, and this is how to fix it. I had a tutor when I was in high school who used to call me out in class. He would call me out intentionally to ask me questions because he knew I could answer them. But he wanted to make a point to everyone else in the classroom. He would say, "Connor, let me ask you this question." And he would ask me a math question, and I would always know how to do it. And after I got the right answer, he would say, "Connor figured it out by working backwards." And that's exactly what I was doing. And now that I understand this principle of reason, first answer second, I realize that's exactly what I was doing. When someone asks us a question, we often want to immediately answer their question. We don't want to admit that we don't know something. But by answering first and not knowing how to get there, we often end up getting the wrong answer. Let's take this question. For example, how much do you bench press? Now, there are many ways you could answer this question. Maybe you would say 225. Maybe you would say, I don't know. Maybe you would say, I haven't been to the gym in a while. But what if you were just trying to get a date? Would any of these answers be helpful? Well, maybe, but maybe not. What if the person asking you this question was looking for a personal trainer? If you said 225, they might think that's too light. If you say, I don't know, they might think that you're not confident. Or if you say, I haven't been to the gym in a while, they might think that you're lazy. So how should you respond to this situation? This is where reason first, answer second can help. Let's break down the process, step by step. Step 1. Identify the type of question. What kind of question is this? Is it a question of fact? Is it an opinion? Is it a trick question? Is it a hypothetical question? Once we identify the type of question, then we can determine what kind of answer is appropriate. And this is a critical thinking skill that you can use in all areas of your life. And now that I am a teacher, I look for students who are able to use this skill. Because this is the difference between someone who gets good grades and someone who gets great grades. So when someone asks you, how much do you bench press? You should ask them a question back. You should ask them, what do you need to know this for? By asking them a question back, you are doing 3 things. 1, you are showing that you are engaged in the conversation. 2, you are buying yourself time to figure out the best way to answer the question. And 3, you are finding the reason behind the question. If you understand the reason behind the question, you can give an answer that satisfies their reason for asking the question. So once they tell you why they want to know how much you bench press, then you can appropriately answer their question. Maybe they are a personal trainer, and they're trying to determine if you are a good fit for their gym. Then you might say, I can bench 225 pounds. Or maybe you are applying for a personal training position and they ask you, how much do you bench press? Then maybe you say, I haven't been to the gym in a while, but I used to be able to bench 225 pounds. Or maybe you're just trying to get a date and they ask you, how much do you bench press? In that case, you might say, I'm not really sure, but I can curl a 40. So you can see how the answer to the question changes based on the reason behind the question. You might be thinking, this sounds easy enough, but why is this so hard to do in real life? Well, there are 2 reasons why. The first is that we don't want to admit that we don't know something. We don't want to feel embarrassed. And this is especially true if the question is coming from a person of authority. Let's say that you're a new teacher and one of your veteran colleagues asks you, what's the Pythagorean theorem? If you're like most people, you're going to feel a sense of embarrassment or shame for not knowing the answer. And this will cause you to make up an answer or guess at an answer instead of just saying, I'm sorry, I don't know. But here's the thing, not knowing something is not bad. Not knowing something doesn't make you stupid. It simply means that you don't know something. And there is no problem with that. Everyone has gaps in their knowledge. The problem arises when we try to hide those gaps. When we try to pretend like we know everything, that's when we run into trouble. Because if you're pretending that you know something and you get called out on it, then you look stupid. But if you're honest about your lack of knowledge and you're willing to learn, then you look humble and teachable. Now, the second reason that it's hard to use the reason first. Second method is that we often do you want know how to categorize questions. For example, is this question, how much do you bench press, a question of fact, or is it a trick question, or is it an opinion? Well, it depends on the context of the conversation. And that's why it's so important to ask a clarifying question. Asking a clarifying question allows you to determine the type of question and therefore the appropriate answer. So the next time someone asks you a question, before you jump in and give an answer, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what kind of question is this? Once you identify the type of question, then you can give an appropriate answer. And now, I want to hear from you. What's the hardest part about using the reason first answer second method? Is it embarrassing to admit when you don't know something? Or is it hard to categorize the type of question? Let me know in the comments below. One of the best ways to improve your critical thinking skills is to practice, but practicing critical thinking on your own can be difficult. That's why I created a free email course called Everyday Critical Thinking. Every day you'll receive an email with a prompt that'll challenge you to think critically. You can use this course to improve your critical thinking skills and to prepare for interviews that involve critical thinking. To get the free course, go to the website below. I read every comment that you guys leave on my videos and I respond to as many as I can. I love interacting with you guys and building this community, so keep commenting. Also, if you want to see a video on another critical thinking concept, then let me know in the comments. Which concept would you like to see? As always, thank you for watching.